Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Callie, and with it being spring, April has just come. I always think about the ACOTAR series because, especially book one, because you have the spring court. So, branching off of that, I thought it would be fun to go through more modern's probably not, more recent books that give you that sense of ACOTAR. So I've picked 5 different books that kind of give me, when I read them, the same feeling of discovering a new world, discovering something I love in a book, and I figured I'd go through these. So, since ACOTAR branches between young adult and adult, I've got a couple of adults and a couple of young adults. First one in the adult category I have is The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. This is a pirate adventure book where we are following this retired pirate mercenary woman as she has to do one more mission to save herself and her family. So she goes back, gets her entire crew back together, and does this last mission. It is like Pirates of the Caribbean in the Middle East, and it's filled with really interesting oceanic lore, and the characters are phenomenal. I think this just had that big sense of adventure that I loved in the ACOTAR series, and this is supposed to span a couple of books, and I'm really excited. Amina is just one of those characters you immediately connect to, you immediately fall in love with, like Feyre, and it's just such a, not a unique premise, but it's such a unique take on a common premise that we see in storytelling. The other adult book that I have is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is a duology. It is completed. There are books like within this world, but this is a fae vampire Hunger Games type story. So book one, we are following the daughter of the evil vampire king, who is actually his adopted human daughter, as she enters these games to win a wish from the goddess of darkness and chaos. And she meets a vampire of the opposite. There are like 2 types of vampires in this. I don't want to say the good and the bad, but the opposite type of vampire, and she immediately hates him, but they have to team up because part of this competition is collaboration in the beginning, and she ends up forming a decent bond with his crew. And we followed these dark trials with gods and monsters, and it's just so enticing. The reason I bring this up with ACOTAR is the romance. This is a romantasy story, and I got so many of the Rhys and Feyre vibes from this book. It is the same picture, except for he has red hair instead of black hair, and they both have wings. I just got that same romance that I adored in the ACOTAR books from this one. Moving into the young adult genre, the first one that I picked up is actually Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I picked this one because of the spring vibes. So we have this, as you can see, this gorgeous cover. We have this transformation magic being banned or not good, that we get a lot in the ACOTAR universe, especially when Feyre is in the human lands. And this gave you that sense of what could be possible with magic. And this also gives you that same whimsical setup and execution when it comes to the storytelling. It's very whimsical, based off of Chinese lore and mythology. It's just overall a beautifully written story, and one that you can fall right into, similar to Thorns and Roses. I picked There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole because of the cast. So with ACOTAR, with the more and more books we get, we start getting a bigger cast of characters that we fall in love with. This trilogy, which is completed by the way, is kind of like that, but we're introduced to all of our major players right in book one and relatively quickly. But I love the sense of the different plot lines with each of the characters that SJM has kind of started doing since War and Ruin, of setting up these different plot lines happening at the same time. So we got it with Silver Flames, and I'm sure we'll get it with book 6. And this puts it all in 3 books, and it brings the whole cohesive plot line mixed with the individual plot lines together so seamlessly. And it is just such a high fantasy adventure of gods and monsters and the human race. The last one that I have is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. So I haven't finished this series. It is complete though. It is a trilogy, and this just, for me, it's writing style. The story is more aligned with Throne of Glass. We have a girl who is in a prison, and instead of being broken out of prison, it's essentially like when Selena was in Endovir, is the vibes. So I realized that's not ACOTAR. However, Lynette Noni's writing style is just so good. I devour everything at the same pace that I devour SJM books. They have very similar ways that they tell their stories. And that's why I put this on this list, because I couldn't make if you like Sarah J. Maas, read this list without bringing up Lynette Noni. They actually collaborate together. Like, they thank each other in their acknowledgments. They like edit each other's shit. And I know the World of Throne of Glass thing that's been teased for years that I've accepted is never going to come out. Lynette Noni is actually a co-author of that collection. So, if you like the writing style and the character development and the plot development, literally anything to do with the books themselves and the writing, pick up anything by Lynette Noni. The Prison Healer is probably one of my favorite books by her, but I have read her entire Akarne series, which is like 6 books long. Would also highly recommend that one. But if you're going to bridge from SJM to Lynette Noni, start with The Prison Healer for sure. It's phenomenal. Hooked me right away. 5 stars, and I think I'm finally finishing this series this year. I think actually in the next couple of months. But I love this series just so much. So those are just a couple of the books that immediately jump to mind when I think of things like A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I find that a lot of books will say, if you like it, try this. They're not always accurate, but I hope that these ones, if you like that series, will help you bridge to other authors and other, you know, adult or young adult types of genres within the fantasy. So with that, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel down below, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Bye!